welcome to Laird Wellness Live. Scott Laird.
Jody Laird.
It's been a while, hasn't it? Welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here. We've had all kinds of busyness, and then we are off to Orlando, Florida.
Yes.
Where we went to the American Health and Freedom Summit. It's by an organization called wellnessparenting.info, if you want to go there and see that. And so we were there, and we're going to tell you about that tonight. That's what we are going to do tonight.
Yeah, it was a fun weekend. And even besides the whole exhibition that we did and watching the booth and that, we had some great meals, beautiful weather.
Yep.
We went to Rocco's Tacos
twice. because of the insistence of our friend Billy Weiss. Billy loves Rocco's Tacos,
and it was worth it. It was definitely the best guacamole I've probably ever had.
Yep. So we were there with Billy, and we helped run his booth and saw all kinds of interesting stuff. In fact, we ran into a DNA company there, by the way. So we very soon, Jody and I bought a couple of their packages, and we might be adding that to what we put into our 8-week program, or offer it by itself. We're not sure yet. We're going to do the test and see what it does. And this is not just a 23andMe kind of, discover where you came from type of DNA test. This is DNA to figure out what kind of vitamins should you be taking, which ones should you not really be concerned about, which ones are you wasting your money on, what kind of food is best suited to you based on your DNA. What kind of exercise is best suited for you? Are you better for weightlifting, or are you better riding a bike? This DNA test will literally tell you all of that.
Yes.
And so we were like, oh my gosh, we have got to get this. So we looked into it. It's actually a Canadian company, but they do all their tests out of Kentucky. And so that is, conducive for United States residents. So that's good. And even if you're in Canada, I'm sure we can do that up there too now. So very cool stuff coming that will be soon be available from us, from Laird Wellness. Now, this event, it was, I don't know why. Well, I know why it was kind of poorly attended. It was kind of surprising because they had, I will tell you about the people who were the guest speakers there in a second, but they originally were going to have this in October.
Right.
And then a hurricane hit Florida, and they were like, oh, we got to stop. And okay, so then they rejigged it for January. Well, of course, a lot of the speakers had to drop off. Dr. Joe Mercola was supposed to be there. Dr. Edward Group was supposed to be there from Global Healing. He wasn't there. A couple other people. And so because of that, and because I guess it just didn't jive with a lot of people's schedules, they had about maybe a fifth of the people they were expecting come to this thing. So there was lots of booths with lots of things to offer from lots of companies, but not a lot of people going through. But it was kind of cool because that meant that you were able to have closer access to some very cool people. Yep. So we got there, and so you have to understand the people at this conference. So the podcast host Joe Rogan. Yes. Everybody kind of knows Joe Rogan, right? So Joe Rogan's got a very, very popular podcast, arguably one of the most popular podcasts in the world. And he had a couple of doctors on there a year ago or so talking about the shot, if you know what I mean. And so, they both talked about it. Dr. Peter McCullough and Dr. Robert Malone. These two podcasts of Joe Rogan's were the most popular, the most watched podcasts, not only of Joe Rogan's program, but in the history of podcasts ever.
Right.
That's how much people wanted to see.
There might have been one that has surpassed lately.
Really?
Yay on Alex Jones.
Oh, well, that's not a podcast. That's just
true.
But
if you want to get specific.
Yeah, but as far as podcasts, they were the most watched podcasts of any podcast anywhere in the world ever. That's how many it's just people wanted to know about this stuff because these guys know their stuff. Who are these guys if you've never heard of them? Dr. Peter McCullough is the most published cardiologist of all time. Okay? He has more studies out there in more journals than anyone else. Dr. Robert Malone is the inventor of mRNA technology that was used in the jab. Now, why would he be in the same breath as a summit that was basically sounding the alarm about these things? Is because he, as the developer of this stuff, says, you guys, stop. You're using this technology all wrong. The developer of this stuff is saying this on a very high scale. So, I mean, we need to listen to these people. These people are not quacks. These people are very, very intelligent. And for them to share their time, I found out through the grapevine that these folks, they either didn't want honorariums or didn't get honorariums for being there. World leaders in this, not caring if they get any money for going to an event like this, just being there, sharing their information, sharing their hearts. Dr. Judy Mikovits was there.
Yeah.
I consider Dr. Judy Mikovits a friend now. I've seen her at a couple of these events, and I actually pulled her aside. So one of the first things we did, we'll get into more of what we did in a second, but when I got there, I pulled her aside and I said, Dr. Judy, I said, last time I saw you, she remembered me, which is, I'm shocked she remembers me every time because
You have talked to her quite a bit.
I have. Yeah. Well, I've talked to her on my Health Awakening show.
And you've texted back and
right.
forth.
So and speaking of podcasts, so there's a Health Awakening show out there that is only on the michaelrood.tv app because we talk about some really hot, touchy stuff that we cannot put on YouTube. So it's on the michaelrood.tv app. If you go to michaelrood.tv, you will find it there. Okay, so that was my conversation with Dr. Judy. And because of that, we've sort of, met at a couple of events. She remembered me, that kind of thing. So I pulled her aside and said, Dr. Judy, you told me something last time that I want to make sure I get right because I've repeated to a few people and I've kind of doubted myself. I want to make sure I'm saying this right. I said, did you say that now that mRNA technology has been used in one jab, that it's going to be used in everything now? She said, yes. It's now being used in the flu shot, the annual flu shot that is available now. However many of them use it, I don't know, but it's there. She says they're going to be using this in all childhood vaccines. They're using them in all kinds of places. So,
Animal.
And also in animals. That's another one. Let's get into that next. So basically, she said, if you're going to tell people anything, tell them avoid all shots for anything ever. Just stop now. No more ever. Because this is going to be in everything. And they're not conventional shots. They're using this technology that is unproven, that is proven to be dangerous of anything else. Of what we saw on the weekend, I mean, it is true. They were citing studies from Harvard, from very high up at the Lancet. All kinds of journals are sounding the alarm, but the world is choosing to close their ears.
Half the world.
Half the world.
Yeah.
Right? But anyway, so she said this is real. It's happening. Just stop. Please stop. Don't just stop taking a shot for anything. So we're like, okay, good. Thank you. Got that straight. So now, animals. So now we're hearing that mRNA is now being used in animal vaccines for farmers. So now it is really important to find a farmer you trust. I mean, grass-fed, grass-finished is one thing, but now the question needs to be, do you give your animals vaccines for anything? Because now that has to be a really potent question because spike protein is now possibly in the food. So this is getting crazy.
Live local, know where your food comes from.
Exactly, right. So now we
do have a couple of options nearby that we really
we
need
do,
to,
yeah. So investigate where you live because go to a farmer's market. Just go to one farmer's market once, and I'm sure there's going to be a farmer there, a rancher or whoever, who's going to have their business card, and they're going to have, if not, grass-fed, grass-finished, at least it's going to be locally raised. So the person, you can ask them questions personally about how they raise their animals, right? So we need to start doing this more and more and more. Never mind the fact that eggs are going up exponentially. Do you know why they're going up? If you've heard any podcasts about this, maybe you know, but this is something really interesting. So the prices for what they call in agriculture inputs, so all of the feed for the chickens, the electricity to keep the barns warm, all these inputs are going up. And then when the farmers sell the eggs, the grocery stores are raising their prices, which we're seeing, right? But they're not giving the farmers any more. So the farmers are getting less per egg, and as a result, they're saying, well, we just can't produce any eggs because we're actually at a loss selling them to you. That's why eggs are in short supply and they're so expensive. So, is it time to start having your own chickens? Maybe, it's possible. Yep. So that's another thing going on. Why is that? very good question. Who's pressuring these grocery stores not to give more? What's going on? All of these unanswered questions. So there was something else going on very interesting with in Orlando. There was another event that Dr. Lewis was at.
Right.
And so we were there. That's the guy who does our blood test. If you've never heard of Dr. Lewis, Dr.
Who
Tom
I work
Lewis,
for.
that Jody works for. Yep. And so he invented that whole algorithm that we put your blood test results through. So that's really cool. So anyway, so he was investigating some other avenues for business there. And so he met us at the hotel. Dr. Lewis does it. He crashes the party sometimes. He just walks into the hotel and pretends like he belongs there. And he calls us up and he says, this is Friday night when we just got there. We're still wearing our travel clothes, very much like what we're wearing right now.
Actually, way worse.
And so he calls me up and says, hey, what are you guys doing? We said, it's about, 9:30, something like that?
We were literally in bed.
Yeah, we're just sitting in bed, watching TV, watching our phones, doing nothing, just kind of relaxing after a 9-hour, drive down there. And he says, come up to room 2905. What? Just come up to room 2905. Why? Just get up here. I want you to meet somebody. I'm like, oh, okay, all right, cool. So we think that he's like, this is just a friend of his in a room up there. Okay, cool. So we go up to room 2905. We walk down the hallway. He's in the hallway, and I joke and I yell down the hall and I said, "What, did they kick you out?" And he laughs and he goes, "Shh." I'm like, "What?" So we walk up to the door, and there's a towel in the door. Because when hotel doors close, they automatically lock, right? So they're trying to keep it so that people can come in and out. So now we get the first clue that, wait a minute, this is not just one person's room. There's like a gathering or something going on here. So he quietly opens the door. It's pretty quiet in there, but we can hear like a TV on or something like that. So we walk in. So there's a TV on, and then there's all these people, 50?
Yeah.
50 people?
Mm-hmm.
50 people standing around, wine glasses in hand, and, wine and cheese and crackers and like olives and stuff. And they're all gathered around this TV watching Mickey Willis's newly, I don't think it's even released yet,
Nope.
documentary. Mickey Willis is the guy who made Plandemic. Who is sitting on the ottoman in front of the TV but Mickey Willis? He's in this room. And we're like, oh my goodness. And so I look around, I look to my left, 5 feet beside me. I didn't realize he was there when I walked in. Del Bigtree is standing right there. And then,
Who you know personally.
Who I know personally because I've had him on my show, but I'm still shocked to see him there because he wasn't supposed to be at this event.
True.
So I was like, oh, Del Bigtree's here. My goodness. I look across the room to the left. Judy Mikovits is sitting on the couch. I'm like, oh, okay, Judy's here. This is, the speakers are in here. And then I see the organizer, Dr. Warner, with his wife is around the corner. And then I look across directly from me and I squint and I'm like, oh. And who saw him first? Did you or I see him first?
I don't remember.
I can't remember. We were in such shock. We were like, oh my gosh, this is like walking into a room full of the Avengers. Yeah. Like from, like superheroes of our movement are in this room. And so I look across the room. I say, Jody, that's Dr. Robert Malone. He's not even a speaker at this event.
True. Yep.
What is he doing here? And so Jody's like, oh, and we don't want to take pictures. We don't want to look like a bunch of geeks walking in here taking, because first of all these people are wearing suit jackets. We're dressed like this, and we're like, oh my gosh, do I feel like an idiot?
Totally underdressed.
And so anyway, so Jody gets the good idea. She's going to take a selfie, but turn around so she can get Dr. Malone. And here you go. There's Dr. Robert Malone sitting right by the window. And this is Jody's hair, of course. This is the selfie she's taking. I wish it was a little clearer, but I swear to you on my life, that is Dr. Robert Malone, developer of mRNA vaccines. And he was just standing there wearing a brown leather jacket and a white shirt and a tie.
I got to tell you, when I was younger, 80s, I'm an 80s girl, and I went to a lot of concerts. And in fact, before I believed in Yeshua, it was one of my lifelong goals to go to as many concerts as I could. And I've met Bon Jovi 5 times, and he was my ultimate hero. I'm telling you what, I was fangirling in that room with all those guys because, Bon Jovi, Bon Jovi. these guys are my new heroes.
Right.
Absolutely. It was fun.
So like, and when Dr. Lewis, I thought something was up when we were in the hallway because he opens a door. I said, "What is this?" Because we can start seeing there's a bunch of people in here. We're like, "What's going on?" He whispers to me, "Just walk in like you own the place." I'm like, "What?" So we go in there, and okay. So despite that boost of confidence from Dr. Lewis, we're in there. We're feeling so underdressed, so tiny in this room. We just stand there together like this, looking around, and we didn't talk to anybody.
Like we were
nobody.
Wallflowers.
Wallflowers.
Like going to a high school party in the 80s and you don't know a single person.
And then what was so funny and so typical was just, the conversation gets ramped up. There's no music or anything. It's just conversation. People are talking, and there's 50 people talking in this room. And then the door opens. 2 hotel security come in. And we're like, what is this? And so they're just going in there. We thought, oh, maybe they're just managing security because, these people are high-level speakers on this topic, which is very unpopular in a lot of circles. And, maybe it's dangerous. So, okay, I thought, okay, cool. That's good. There's security in here. Find out later. I don't know if you even know this.
I don't think I do.
The party got broken up. They got kicked out. Everybody got kicked out.
I didn't know that.
So all these famous
We
folks,
left right before that,
we did. We left because the security came in. And the event organizers had looked at us a couple times and probably thinking, "Who did you invite them? Because I didn't," kind of thing. And we're thinking, "Oh boy, maybe we should get out." But
they knew who we were.
They knew who we were because I was actually supposed to be a speaker there for a time, but I was going to fill in for Dr. Lokensgaard, our dentist friend, because he was speaking. He couldn't. He asked me to speak in his place. Dr. Warner agreed that I could do that, but then the whole sponsorship and speaker event moved to March. That's when they're doing their next one in Nashville, by the way. Don't have any dates yet, but Dr. Lokensgaard is going to be speaking at that one. So they were still trying to fit me in at this one, but there was a waiting list of folks who were already waiting to speak, so I kind of got bumped off by that. But I was bumped off by one of Peter McCullough's buddies. So that's good.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. So anyway, so we started going to a couple of the speaking events and that kind of thing. And this is where we ran into Judy Mikovits. And had you met Dr. Judy before?
I mean, not officially.
Okay.
But I, have been around when you were speaking with her at times.
So this is Dr. Judy right here. And so I'm wearing this green shirt because we were helping Billy Weiss. And that's his company shirts. And so we were helping to man his booth. But that's Dr. Judy. And, she's just as friendly as she looks. I mean, she doesn't care who you are. If you're concerned about the topic of shots and of people just, being safety
and what's
being,
going on in the world right now,
and being tricked by stuff like this, she'll just stand there and talk to you, and she'll just go off. She'll just get angry as all get out. If she hears a story of somebody being hurt in your family because of this whole issue, she will just be like a pit bull. And I tell you what, I told that. So after we got home, I didn't want to bother her because I know she'd probably be busy with, after an event like that, you get inundated with stuff. So I texted her and I said, "Hey, Dr. Judy, I have a young lady that I was counseling through a blood test. And I actually did this young lady's blood test. She's 31 years old, former athlete, lives in an affluent place in Georgia. Just has everything she needs. She's not living in poverty or anything like that. And she got a vaccine. She's totally fine. Got a booster. Booster messed her up. 31 years old, loves to run with her dogs, athlete, that type of thing. She says, "I'm tired all the time. I walk half a block with my dogs and I have to turn around and come back because I can't breathe. And I'm sleeping 16 hours a day." 31 years old. So I said, "You know what? We're going to call her Jane." Her name's not Jane, but I'm going to call her Jane. So Jane, we're going to talk to Dr. Judy for you. We're going to see what we can figure out. I say this and I don't even know if I can do anything for her. So I text Dr. Judy, say, "Hey, I tell her the story. Is there anything we can do?" Dr. Judy says, I thought maybe, I said, "Is there a protocol?" She says, "Yes, but call me or I'll call you." I'm like, wow, she's going to call me? Wow, she's going to actually take some time. So that night, Dr. Judy spends 40 minutes with me. 40 minutes. So later on, I find out, I ask her because her voice starts getting hoarse and she's starting to cough. I said, "Dr. Judy, how long have you been on the phone today?" She said, "Since 6 a.m. I'm like, I said, "Dr. Judy, go to bed." Like, never mind me. Like, you've told me enough. That's good. So she basically told me the whole protocol, and she said, Scott, you tell Jane we're going to take care of her. We're going to take care of this little girl. We're going to get her. These people have messed her up, and I'm mad. We're going to fix her up. And I'm like, wow, okay. So she is passionate about this. She doesn't care who you are. She's on your side.
Yeah.
So I love Dr. Judy. So after we met Dr. Judy, we, a lot of folks are in this thing, and it's called the American Health and Freedom Conference. So it's not just about health. It's, we have forgotten in this country about freedom. We're from Canada. We've only been here 14 years.
15 right away.
Almost 15 years. And we're going to be eligible for citizenship this year. So I'm very, very proud of that. I'm very, very happy. I can't wait for that. But the problem is, a lot of these people, nobody is being stripped of their rights. Let's just examine this for a minute. People cannot take away your rights. You have inalienable rights. Unalienable rights is actually the proper term according to the Constitution. Unalienable rights. No one can take them away. As an American, you have these rights given by God. That's specifically said in the Constitution so that no person can take them away from you. If you're being told to do something that you don't want, to keep your job. That was another guy I talked to. Let's bring that up in a minute. Works at Google. Or you're being told to do something that is unconstitutional. You do not have to do it. They may persecute you, all this kind of stuff, but that is your right. And that's the problem. When our daughter was having an issue like this, we had someone help us with this. And she said, you don't talk about what's in the shot, all this kind of stuff. Don't bring up any science, this kind of thing. That doesn't matter. What matters is it is your right to choose, and you stand on it, and you say, if you don't like it, we'll take you to court. And you know what? The smart ones don't fight back because they know that that is an unalienable right. So the problem in this country is not that we are having our rights stripped away. No one's taking them away from you. You're giving them up.
You're giving them. Yeah.
Don't give your rights up. Fight because they're yours. And if it's ever taken to court and there's a proper proceeding, that's another thing. There's a lot of kangaroo court BS going on in this country. But according to the statutes of this country, you have rights that no one can take away. Don't give them up. And we had to be reminded of that at this event. And this is one of those things they put up on the screen as a reminder from Thomas Jefferson. I prefer dangerous freedom over peaceful slavery. Isn't that the truth? We all need to be believing in that. Believe in dangerous freedom. It may be dangerous to poke your head up. I'm reminded of Billy Weiss had to stand up for himself. I think he wouldn't mind if I told this story. He had to stand up for himself this week.
This week?
This week. He took his mother for an eye appointment with her doctor. They walked into this office. He said all over the front door, a plaster that said, we wear masks in this office. You must wear a mask in order to enter this office. You don't tell that to Billy Weiss. Let me just tell you. So he walked into this office. And I guess his mom must have been compliant. They weren't bugging her, but he says, "Sir," they say, "Sir, do you have a mask?" And he went, "No, I don't." And his lovely North Carolina accent, I love Billy. And they said, "Can we provide you with one?" He says, "Nope, I don't do that." And they said, "Oh, yes, you will in this office." And he goes, "No, I won't."
No, they said, "Can't you read?"
Can you read, sir? As in the sign on the door. And he said, then he got hot. And he said, and I laughed so hard out loud standing in this room talking to Billy that Jody came in the room like, what's going on? I haven't laughed that hard in so long. Billy said, yes, I can read. In fact, ma'am, I can read the Constitution. And you know that right now you are violating my rights, not only by the Constitution, but the Civil Rights Code of 1964, article, blah, blah, blah. And he listed off the articles. And she must have just been like, what's going on here? So, and she says, sir, you need to calm down. She says, I am calm. You're just not going to take my rights away, and you're going to see my mother. It's like, wow. And then he said, I'm going to record this whole thing. And if you decide to take me to court, I'm going to play this in court and I'm going to win. And so, wow. So they brought security in. The security guy gets there and he talks to Billy and he says, sir, I don't even know why I'm here. And he says, well, Billy explained the situation. And so the security guard goes back. His mom's appointment comes up. They open the door. Billy walks in, no mask. walks in, walks out. They go up to the front desk. They said, when are you coming back for your next appointment? And Billy says, you think I'm coming back here? He turned around and left. Love Billy, man. Oh.
We all need to be Billy.
Oh my gosh, guys, he's my hero now. Guy's got guts. He just, and you know what? During the whole pandemic, he never closed his pharmacy. He never closed.
He never wore a mask.
He never wore his mask.
Ever.
He never closed his CrossFit gym. Nothing. So that's what we need to be. We need to have dangerous freedom over peaceful slavery. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, great stuff. This was another thing too. This was surprising. Okay, so we think, oh, all this corruption and all this stuff has been, it's all new, and no, this isn't new. Check this out. The most stunning medical quote ever made by a Harvard professor who said, the FDA protects the big drug companies and is subsequently rewarded, and using the government's police powers, they attack those who threaten the big drug companies. People think that the FDA is protecting them. It isn't. What the FDA is doing and what the public thinks it is doing are as different as night and day. That was Dr. Herbert Lay, former commissioner of the FDA. Wow. And he said this in 1969, before I was born. So this has been going on for a while.
Yep.
Right? So this is nothing new. So we need to wake up and realize now that, knowledge will increase, as the Bible says, right? Everybody has access to stuff. One day we may not have access to this. Maybe you might need your vaccine card to log on to your internet that you pay for. You never know. So that's why I always say, learn stuff now, print stuff out, have it in hard copy, and just know these things.
Totally an aside, but my Van, our son, and I were in the car today talking about things, and it always gets controversial and that kind of thing. And you know what else? Learn people's phone numbers. Not that you would have a landline to phone people, but we used to know phone numbers.
Right, yeah.
We do not know people. I do not know my kids' phone numbers. Let's get back to that.
Speaking of phone numbers, so a guy was on a Zoom call with me earlier this week. Just one of the free Zoom calls that we do. If you go to lairdwellness.com/consult, you will find a calendar where you can book a free half hour with me, by the way. And that's what this one gentleman did. He works at Google in California. And I said, oh my gosh, you must have, I'm so sorry. They probably forced you to be vaxxed. And he said, yeah, I took one, but he says, I'm not taking another one because I'm starting to feel the effects of what happened. I used to be an athlete. I used to be a surfer. And now I'm not in great health, and that's why I'm calling you. So we talked about some things. But he said that one of his best friends, a colleague, said no, and they gave him his papers, told him to walk. And so now I hope those people are going to get some empowerment. In California, not so sure. But anyway, so that is happening. And we're meeting people that this is happening to personally.
Every day.
Yeah.
We're meeting people. I talk to people on the phone every single day with issues.
Yep. So yeah, so there's the guy who had to take one to keep his job. There's the young 31-year-old Jane who can't even walk her dogs anymore. Former athlete, okay? And then the third one is a lady I spoke to just the other day. She did not take a shot or anything like that, but her father did. He walked into the clinic, took the shot just fine, felt a little weird, had to be helped out and into the car, went home, died 6 days later. So this is happening to real people, guys. This is not some stories you hear. Oh, maybe it's true and maybe it's not. Oh, I don't know. This is all rumors. Nothing's really happening. Yes, it is. Okay. And something that Dr. Peter McCullough brought up, and I'm going to bring him up in here in a second because we talked about Damar Hamlin. This was really hot. This only happened that week. This was 2 weeks ago. And he said that what you're not hearing is that, yes, everybody's focused on this one NFL player, but in European soccer, there have been 1,598 incidences where people have just passed out or collapsed, is the better word, on the field in soccer or in football, in European football. And 1,100 of those died, could not be resuscitated on the field. 1,100 athletes, professional soccer players have died, okay? 400 of those, so of the 1,500, 1,100 died. 400 of them are like Damar Hamlin clones. Same thing happened to them. Survived, but they did have a cardiac event on the field. 400 other people. So this is not a one thing that, oh gosh, it was sort of just a phenomenon.
Not to mention the airline pilots, which we are pretty close to because our daughter's boyfriend, who lives with us right now, is working in Charlotte. He is going to flight school in, about a month now. He'll be leaving us and moving to Arizona. And the reason why he's going to flight school is because now they are not mandating. Well, at this conference, we made kind of friends and colleagues with this man named Josh Yoder, who was on Tucker Carlson the other night. So we know him personally, and we are going to be working with them. They're actually going to be sending pilots our way to do the blood test because our blood test includes D-dimer. So if you do have issues, D-dimer is the thing to get. But he was telling the story of this was on Sunday. On Saturday morning, a pilot was 10 minutes till takeoff. Everybody was loaded. It was ready to go. They were, 10 minutes from taking off.
This was during the time of the conference.
During the conference. And he slumped over the, whatever it is in pilot land, the wheel,
the controls.
controls, and passed away right then and there. And there was somebody beside him. And they say he was a beginner. He was a trainer who was sitting right beside him. So had they been 10 minutes later and been in the air, that would have been really bad. However, I don't think that maybe that pilot beside him could have.
No, that pilot would not be in that seat if he could not fly the plane. So that's a bit of an exaggeration.
And he would have probably had several thousand hours.
But still, somebody died 10 minutes before takeoff.
Okay, so then he says, well, he's not the only one. So in the last year and a half, 150 pilots have died.
And 300 had cardiac events.
And 300 have had strokes.
Oh, strokes.
Not just cardiac events, strokes.
Wow.
So add that, 450 pilots. And so, yeah, he was on Tucker Carlson the other night, and they're going to be doing some work with us perhaps in the future.
To give you an idea of all the people who are there, so right in the center of this panel discussion is Peter McCullough. You can see him there. He's the one speaking, everyone kind of looking at him. On the far left, you'll see Judy Mikovits. Beside Peter on the right, that is Ryan Cole, who is an expert in looking at the clots being pulled out of cadavers, so people who have passed away.
He's got his own lab, and he's really brilliant.
He recently did something with Del Bigtree, where they took Del Bigtree's own blood, and they dropped drops of each shot onto his blood and see what happens. So that was pretty revealing. But he also looks at the clots being pulled out of people's bodies, which are not. These are not regular clots, guys. These are clots that, like, normal clotting medicines will not break down. This is some kind of weird thing that nobody can figure out. It's fibrinogen mixed with the foreign proteins created by the mRNA jab. So these things come together and they bind, and it creates this rubbery substance that literally it's like squid.
Octopus, or like when you eat squid, right?
Yeah,
like it's the rubbery, squiddy white stuff.
Yeah, it's almost like if you've ever eaten shrimp, before our kosher days, I did eat shrimp as a kid, and it's like a shrimp. It's like rubbery shrimp. It's weird.
Calamari, that's the
word.
Like
calamari. Yeah, that's the word. Yeah. All right, so there was that. Now, Dr. Peter McCullough also spoke, and I was like 2 rows back, which is great. So I got this kind of grainy shot, but I still got a pretty good shot of him there. And so he actually spoke about Damar Hamlin. And so we wanted to play that here tonight, but I'll tell you what, if Facebook's already not ticked at us, they would be. So we can't play that. But this morning, I put it on Rumble. And so look for this image on Rumble, and this is where you can watch it right now. If you go to lairdwellness.com/Hamlin, that will take you to Peter McCullough's 10-minute part of his speech on what happened to Damar Hamlin.
Well, don't go right yet.
Don't go now. Wait till we're done, But anyway, so yeah, he spoke about Damar Hamlin and what exactly happened. And not only to him, but like what's happening with kids. Why are kids being, susceptible to this kind of
And
thing.
athletes.
What's going on with the athletes? Why? And he just breaks it down. He shows you the studies. This is from like the Lancet. This is from Harvard. And here's the other thing too that he brought up that a lot of us, I didn't know. So the whole plandemic, if you will, was part of a Department of Defense exercise paper, something, I don't know what you want to call it, in 2012. 2012. How it's going to happen, what's going to be provided as medicine, and then what the outcome is going to be. It was planned 2012, 10 years ago, by the U.S. government, Department of Defense. It's documented. It's not like some super secret thing. It's out there. It's public. Nobody looks for it. That's just it. Nobody's looking for the answers. Nobody realizes they've got rights. It's the whole thing. We've become this apathetic society that doesn't care about their rights, doesn't fight for the rights, doesn't even know they have rights, and doesn't even think to look for material out there because they think it's all going to be a bunch of, what's the word? Disinformation. Well, I think we all know who's providing the disinformation and the real things you're hearing about people dying. And I mean, I'm hearing it from people firsthand. Their fathers, their mothers, themselves, they're being affected. This is real. Tell your friends and neighbors this is real. Start shaking your head and just wake up. This is happening. And that's what we went to this conference for. There's a lot of, and that's the sad thing. You know, there were supposed to be 1,500 people there.
Yeah.
I don't think there was 300.
No, but there was a bunch of nurses there from Canada.
Oh,
and all over the
tell
place,
that
but
story.
especially
Yeah.
from Canada. No, I don't want to tell the story. You tell the story because you're good at it. But I didn't I wondered who are all these ladies and why are there so many ladies here? Well, they are all invited by Dr. Warner, nurses from all over the place. I was sitting beside one of them while we were eating lunch, and she was there because she lost her job. She got fired. She's still not working.
There was one lady, they had a question and answer thing. And so they're passing around the mic to people who wanted to have questions. And this was during the panel discussion. And there's one lady who was quite angry because she was, lost her job and lost everything. And understandably so. She wasn't angry at the people there. She was just expressing her anger in a safe place, I think. And so people kind of felt bad for her. And then her friend who was with her, just a very brave lady trying to ask a question, and she could barely get the words out. And she was uncontrolled. She has uncontrollable shaking 24 hours a day now because of a shot. And we know which shot I'm talking about. And she was just asking a question like, can we detox? And she could barely get it out. People were crying, listening to her, just trying to get her question out. It was unbelievable. This is happening to people. People are being maimed, pushed aside, died. Oh, it must have been from something else. Oh, no, it was just a coincidence. Oh, people die on soccer fields all the time. We just never hear about it because it's never brought out in the news. I think if someone died on a soccer field or a football field or a basketball court, I mean, I've heard of a teenager dying on a basketball court before.
Do you remember
but
that?
But very, very, very rare.
I remember.
And you remember it because it was so rare.
I remember that one teenager, I think he was a black teenager, probably about 20 years ago. Do you remember that? And he died on the basketball court,
picture,
and it made the news everywhere. And you and I were like starting our health journey at that time, and we're like, is it because he was eating too much McDonald's? We had no idea.
But that was some weird defect or something like that. But see, that's just it. Is this kind of stuff is giving people defects that didn't have defects before. I mean, it's giving people like problems. And the whole issue is that I heard it explained this way today, is that because there's so much blood going through, an athlete, and their blood vessels are constricting, right? Because they're working really hard.
Well, first of all, their beats per minute are so low because as a high level athlete, they're not like you and me where our beats per minute are 65, 70, 75, 80. Their beats per minute are like 45. So when they're exerting themselves like football, soccer players, anything does. Now continue.
Well, what are you saying about that? I'm curious now.
Well, this is what I heard today, that that plays a part of it because they are so healthy and their resting heart rate is so low. When they work themselves up and they've got the spike protein in there, it's
that much worse.
It's that much worse
Because
for
it's
an
not
athlete.
going like this. It's just, it's like really quick.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. And then we see the results. And then since it's the arteries narrow, well then what's clotting can't get through, and then blockage.
So nitric oxide, people.
Yeah, nitric oxide, really helpful. Nitric oxide, of course, you can get from beets. This type of, what is nitric oxide? So nitric oxide is the gas your body produces that opens up your blood vessels. And there's a great product out there that we've had a time or two called Cardio Miracle.
Yeah.
And you can get it at cardiomiracle.com. We don't sell it, but you can get it there, cardiomiracle.com. It's great stuff. And it will lengthen the time that nitric oxide remains in your body, because nitric oxide has a pretty short half-life on its own, but they've sort of managed to keep that half-life longer, so it'll have a longer effect. All right, so that is our program for tonight. I think that's all we wanted to mention. We're a little over time, but I think we needed to mention all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So again, comment. We'd be glad to hear your questions, all that kind of stuff, and we'd love to have a free consult with you. There's several places. It'll all take you to the same place. So lairdwellness.com/consult. If you want to know about our program, our 8-week health program with all kinds of training and videos, and we'll do your blood test and just hold your hand, take you through the whole process. It's the same calendar, and we just give it a different link here, lairdwellness.com/blueprint to do our Biologic Blueprint program, our 8-week program. But if you want to find out just what's wrong and maybe we can help you out, free half hour to tell you about that. Or if you want to learn about our program, go ahead and go on there and you can find out about our program. Anything you'd like to talk about with health, go ahead.
You want to get your D-dimer checked?
Go get your D-dimer checked. Yeah. A lot of folks, so they go on this link and in half an hour, we've solved their issue. They're like, oh, big aha moment, and away they go, happy as clams. And then,
and if we haven't solved it, we'll get the blood work to
get
try
some
and
blood
figure
work,
out what's going on.
And then some people get the blood work and go, oh wow, this is great. Train me, tell me more, then do the whole program. So whatever you need in your life, I mean, we can help you out with this. So it starts free, lairdwellness.com/blueprint. And it'll give you a free half hour, and we will go from there. So thank you for watching tonight, and we will see you next time. Thank you for watching, and hopefully we'll be here next week. I think we will be, right?
I think so, yeah.
All right. Okay, here we go. Consistency, 2 weeks in a row. How about that? Have a good week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.